This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. World leaders hearing from U.S. President Donald Trump, who this morning addressed the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Mr. Trump at the time attacked the Iranian leadership, defended his decision to foster a relationship with North Korea, as well as his country's hardline approach to China. The U.S. has imposed economic sanctions against that country, the world's two largest economies. Now, among those listening in to President Trump's speech was Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who yesterday delivered an address to the Nelson Mandela Peace Summit. At the time, he highlighted the role the Bahamas played in bringing about the prison release of the former South African leader in 1990. Amidst the wars, conflicts, violence, injustice, hunger, and bitter hatred which stalk the global commons, he said, we find hope in the commemoration of the centenarian of the birth of a noble soul whose witness to reconciliation and peace is an internal wellspring for humanity. Among those accompanying the Prime Minister on this week-long trip is State Minister of Grand Bahama Kwesi Thompson, who on Monday attended a session that focused on investment in the environment and development goals. Meantime, while in New York, the wife of the Prime Minister soaked up a bit of downtime this afternoon, attending the Fashion for Development 8th Annual Official First Ladies Luncheon. Sustainable tourism and disaster risk management in the Caribbean, the focus of a workshop here in the capital, with the opening address coming from Tourism Director General Joy Jibrilu. Participants heard how the recent impact of climate change on global economies makes it imperative that the region begins to recognize threats on the tourism industry as well as the standard of life.
While climate change impacts the development of all nations, notwithstanding size of economy or location, small island nations are more vulnerable than any group of nations worldwide to the ravaging impact of climate change. Small island developing states, or SIDS, are more susceptible to the likes of sea level rise, coastal erosion, and storm surges due to the fact that some 1/3 of our population reside on land that is less than 5 meters below sea level.
The DG added that with increased average temperatures, droughts, flooding due to frequent and severe weather events, and rising sea levels, small island developing states, or SIDS, will be increasingly challenged with vector and waterborne diseases like dengue, diarrheal disease, and malaria, all of which threaten the health of visitors and residents.
Such outbreaks, we know, can have negative impacts on our human resource, impacting the quality of service of our visitors and local clients alike. Meanwhile, the onset of droughts will not only impact our access to clean and healthy supply of water and sanitation, but also poses a challenge to our food security.
The impacts of climate change can be monumental to SIDS, resulting in environmental, social, and economic consequences to inhabitants, such as water resources, agriculture, food security, human health, and coastal assets. Agriculture Minister Michael Pintard, taken aback by the Bahamas National Trust concerns that officials are exploring the expansion of commercial fishing to include pelagic species like tuna. The minister today assured that there has been no such conversation.
Neither administration is prepared to reverse the decision made that we do not support longline fishing or any other unsafe harvesting practices. We are committed to exploring additional revenue streams for the fisheries sector. That includes examining various pelagic species to see which of them might in fact be feasible for us to harvest.
The minister says the objective is to allow science to dictate the government's plans moving forward.
Any species we look at, we'd look at what the international protocols are. Secondly, we'll determine whether or not the stock is at a sufficient level that we could sustainably harvest it and sell it locally and internationally. And then thirdly, there would be stakeholder consultation. So we have met with all of the NGOs, inclusive of the BNT, and there has not been any issues that we have been on a separate page relative to. So yeah, I was a bit surprised.
The minister says the goal is to facilitate local empowerment. That said, quite a number of species are set to be discussed within the ministry soon. Our final story is up next.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.